Hello, everyone. Thanks for dialing this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. I am your host, Lorenzo Melcher, coming to you from PB Studios in my parents' basement. And I have been putting in my logo for the studio, so that should be up on the screen right now. And it's been going great. People had some good comments about it, so thank you. Thank you, as I say every week, thank you for always liking, sharing, subscribing, downloading to the podcast, doing whatever you can to help the podcast grow. If you want to be on the podcast, like the two guests I have on today, all you got to do is reach out. You can reach me on any social media. Just search the Nerdball Podcast, or the Gmail is thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. I've been doing really well with the social media, so hopefully Future Lorenzo, again, I always talk about Future Lorenzo because I have all these podcasts that I do ahead of time, so hopefully he is continuing to do the social media, so we can continue to grow this podcast. So I appreciate everything you do. Thank you, and enjoy the episode.
Hi, my name's Dawn Burks, and I'm running for re-election for the Rossford School Board.
And I'm Jackie Huffman, and I'm running for re-election for the Rossford School Board.
And this is the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Awesome. Thank you both for coming on my podcast today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
I really like, it makes me feel like people are seeing the podcast when they're like, oh, can we come on? And so I was really excited, yes, come on, please. Yeah. So thank you for reaching out and coming on here. As you said in the intro, you're both running for re-election of Rossford School Board, which we will get to, I promise. But I do want to do what I normally do, which is my first question I always ask is, what is something you are nerding out about? Something you're really into. It could be a hobby you've had your entire life, something you just picked up, movies, TV, baking, maybe you like whatever it is. But what is something you're really into?
I'll start.
Yeah.
I'm nerding out currently on reading a lot. I just been in a book club recently, and so each month we read a new book or a couple times. And so what I normally do is we read a nonfiction book. And then, of course, I also do my own where I do a self-help book because I'm a school counselor by profession. So I like to do something like that just to kind of keep up on what's going on in the world.
Is being in a book club, does that feel like pressure to get it done? I mean, you've gone through a lot of school and you work in a school, so I feel like it's like homework. And as an adult, I'm like, I don't want homework right now.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say that because I do a lot of audiobooks.
Okay.
So when I'm driving, and I do a lot of travel, and so when I drive or when I'm on the plane, I will go ahead and pop in the audiobook and listen, and I usually get in about 2 to 3 hours, so it works for me.
Okay.
And even if I'm cleaning around the house.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it actually works out. So I do a lot more audio than I do the actual reading.
Is the book club a new thing that you just started or in?
Yeah, I would say it's been a couple years,
Okay.
but it wasn't something that I did regularly. So I just thought, hey, this is a great opportunity. I have some friends who have been doing it for a long time. So I thought, hey, I would just step in and participate. And we do read, but we also do other things. We get together, and of course we're connected, and we catch up because we don't get to see each other a lot.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part. I think of anything anybody ever does or tells me, this is what I nerd out about. A lot of times it has to deal with why I do this thing because my mom taught me or my friend taught me, or it's something that you're doing with or because of somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And you said it was nonfiction?
Nonfiction. I mean, it's suspense, thriller, maybe romance.
Okay.
Just something fun
Sure.
for the girls to get together. It's a bunch of women that, we're I guess nerding out and getting together and doing some fun stuff together.
That's great. That's great. I like self-help books too. I do. I love coaching books. Or sports, anything sports related, I really like that kind of stuff. And then I work for the Metro Parks, and they at one point we had an assignment to read. Oh, my boss is going to kill me if I can't remember the name of this book. Radical Candor is one book.
Okay.
And then there was another book we had to read too. But they're both really good because it helps us. We're leaders, and we want to lead better and lead our staffs better and everything. But I like that kind of stuff too. I like reading because I highlight and I make notes and that kind of stuff. And so it's a lot harder for me to find time to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
my last book was Let Them by Mel Robbins.
Yeah.
And
I see it
that
all
was
over TikTok.
yes, and just a phenomenal book.
Yeah.
Just to say, hey, you can't get too caught up in the weeds of things. You just need to let them and do you.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Jackie, what about you? What have you been nerding out about?
Well, I wish I could say I'm in a book club. That sounds great. It doesn't sound that nerdy, but nerdy enough, right?
Sure, yeah.
So unfortunately, right at the beginning of campaign season, I broke my tibia.
Oh, no.
So I thought I'd be sitting around doing a lot of nerdy crocheting or knitting or something like that.
Yeah.
I have quite a few grandchildren that I was wanting to make some things for. But my tomatoes came on, so now I'm being nerdy and every day I do one batch of tomatoes, can them.
Okay.
And so I've been busy doing that and elevating my leg and doctor's appointments and all of that. I had it planned a lot differently.
Oh, I bet. Can I ask how you broke it?
I'd like to say I was rollerblading or something really fun like that, but I was stepping over my dog gate off the landing of my steps, unfortunately.
That is very normal, though, I feel like, right? Yeah.
Yes.
My grandma, she was living with my parents, and my dad was just telling me this story yesterday. She hurt her ankle, and she was like, she was telling my dad, she's like, I think I sprained my ankle or something, and they put it up, and he looked at it, and it just went like this, I don't think you sprained it. I think
a little bit
else.
more.
Yeah. But again, same stepping over for my grandma. She was older, and stepping over even some laundry or something. It's very, very normal. It is one of those things. I want it to be cooler. I my Harley fell on my leg when I was getting off it. Something like that.
You want a great story, something fantastic. But
and you mentioned gardening. Do you always garden every year? Do you have a garden?
I have not, but since my kids have grown and left the nest, I started doing every Sunday meals for whoever could make it. So the families could. And they love my chili, so I love using fresh tomatoes all year long to make the chili and stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
So that's kind of what inspired me. Almost everything that inspires me is my family.
Yeah.
So I just love that, and I love to have them all come together.
Yeah, it makes whatever you're doing, it makes you want to do it more or better or figure
absolutely.
it out.
Yeah.
My in-laws, my father-in-law always has a tomato garden because they make their own pasta sauce.
Oh yeah.
So they always have jars of it or Tupperware things that they freeze. So all through the winter we have pasta sauce.
Right.
But
so good.
I tried candy one time and I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out. And then I got frustrated, and now there's just canning stuff, collecting dust in my garage. That's probably 5 years ago. I just couldn't do it.
Well, I'm like that with my yarn and my crocheting and my knitting. I got lots of yarn, lots of needles, lots of crochet hooks, and it's sitting.
But my mom used to do that a lot. She used to make doilies, doilies everywhere. And it was, as a kid, you're like, what are these things? And as I became an adult, I'm like, these are very intricate, and these are very hard to do. And
time consuming.
Yeah, my grandpa, her dad would frame a couple because they were so cool looking, But it looks fun. There's a lot of things. I asked that question because I am very interested in information and hobbies. I don't have enough time to do any more hobbies, but they're very interesting to me. And I always like, I want to try this or look into this. And sometimes people will tell me things they do, and I look into it a little bit, and then I realize I have zero time to do anything else. But it is a cool thing. And again, because they're always tied to something. It's not a lot of times it's not out of the blue, which makes it better. Did you, Dawn? Did you grow up around here?
I did. Okay. I actually grew up in Bowling Green, and so grew up there. And then as I got older, I went on to high school in Toledo. So I went to Toledo Rogers High School. So grew up around here, but then went away to college and then came back after college. So yes.
I grew up right down the street from Toledo High School, or Rogers.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I lived between Hill and Nebraska, and that was until I was 14, and there was 4 of us, but we went to Catholic school. We went to Our Lady of Lourdes. Okay. And my dad is like, then he moved us all to Perrysburg because I can't pay for 4 high schools. So we got to find a good high school to go. How was it? So you were born in Bowling Green. How long did you live there?
Well, my mom and my dad have lived there pretty much since I was 7 years old. So, I mean, they still live there. But then my mom and my parents then moved to Toledo for a period of time, but then moved back to Bowling Green. So got a place up in Toledo because wanted to be able to go to Toledo Public Schools. My mom is a former teacher from Toledo Public Schools. So, had the opportunity to go to Rogers. And it was a lot because of just the opportunity for diversity and with the sports and everything because I was an athlete, and then went on to college and did my sport, and then decided to come back home because my dad was like, you need to come back home and be closer to the family because, like Jackie just mentioned, I'm very family oriented. My family's very family oriented, so it was one of those things where I'm like, I have to come back home.
Did you always feel that pull, and then your dad calling you was like, all right, then yes, I should probably
pretty
come back.
much. My dad is a very strong. He was a very strong person, and we were very close, and so just felt the need to come back and be closer because I was the oldest, and so coming back home, my siblings were still in school in elementary and junior high. There's a little gap between us, so wanted to come back and support the family.
And you mentioned sports. You played sports in high school. What'd you play?
I did. I did cross country, basketball, and track. Then I went on to college to run track at Penn State University.
Oh, nice.
So I know I'm a little disappointed right now with the game. So let's not go there with that.
It's all right. By the time this comes out, people would have forgot about it.
Okay, I hope so. However, had the opportunity to go there on a full ride for track.
Would you run?
I ran the 800.
Okay,
800
God, that is. Whenever, because I used to be a track coach, I did track in high school. The 800 is so difficult. Like it's 400, 4x4 will always be my favorite thing to watch. It was always the end. For us, it came down to this race to win the NLL. But the 800, whenever I would see, it's a sprint for 2 laps, and it looks so difficult.
It's intense.
Yes.
It's probably for track. I would say the 400 and the 800 are probably the toughest. I mean, anybody's going to say their race is the toughest. Correct. I think if you are a track runner, people will say the 4 and the 800 are probably the toughest races.
My high school track coach, Mr. Kiehl, I don't know if it was something we had to do this whatever, but everybody had to run it for 400. Everybody, and get a time.
Oh wow!
So everyone would go, and then I was a thrower, so then all the throwers would run. Every year we had to do it. But Mr. Kiehl was awesome. He was my freshman football coach, and the noise you made sounded like you knew who Mr. Kiehl is. And
I do.
Yeah, and he pulled, because I was new to Perrysburg as a freshman. He's like, hey, you're going to try out for baseball? I was like, yeah, I like baseball. He goes, well, if you don't make it, you can be a thrower. And he would always talk about it. And I didn't even try out for baseball. I just went right to track. Never did it my entire life until I came to Perrysburg. And it was one of my best experiences because of him, and Mr. Henches was my throwing coach.
Yes, yeah. Know them very well.
Yeah.
I used to work at Perrysburg School, so I worked with both of them.
Oh, nice.
So, and then I coached against Vern. So, Coach Kiehl. So had the opportunity to do that. And our first race or our first meet of the season would always be against Perrysburg. I coached at Central Catholic.
So, they were great, and they that's what made track fun, was because of that.
Yes.
So Jackie, did you grow up in this area?
I did. I grew up in Rossford.
Oh, you did?
And I graduated from Rossford.
Oh, awesome.
I've lived in Rossford School District my whole life.
Yeah.
So raised my kids there.
How many kids do you have?
I had 6 kids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So they're all out of school now.
Yeah.
They're all doing their thing. Yeah.
Did you, when you went to Rossford, did you do any clubs, sports, activities, anything like that?
I did not do. Went to our old doctor in Rossford, and he didn't pass my physical because of my knees.
Oh, no.
And then it just, when I went to school, girls' sports were not as popular, not as pushed. In my family anyway. So I did some drama, and I didn't play in band. I was taking piano lessons, and so I don't know.
What was your favorite part of high school?
My favorite part of high school, going to all the sporting events.
Yeah.
I love sports. I didn't play them. I bet I could have. And I bet my kids are all really athletic. I'm sure they got all their athletic ability from me. I just wasn't able to show it, you know. But they all did very well at Rossford. And excelled.
What was your favorite sport to go watch?
I liked all of it.
Yeah,
I liked, I didn't understand football as much when I was in school.
Yeah.
So it was more of a social event, going to the football games and, just hanging. And we watched the game and cheered and whatever.
Yeah.
But I probably knew basketball the best. So probably watching basketball.
And I imagine as your kids progressed in sports and did stuff, then you kind of were forced to learn things, right?
Oh, yeah. I learned football really well.
Yeah.
And my one son was just an exceptional football player.
Did he recently, or how long has he been graduated then?
He graduated in 2006.
Okay.
So,
right.
Yeah, he did walk on at UT. He was a preferred walk on, pulled his hamstring, and that was about the end of his football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's always I didn't play college football, but I was a preferred walk-on for BG and UT, and I was talking to my son who's he's going to be 14. He's in 8th grade, and he wants to play college football.
Yeah.
So we were talking about it, and I was kind of explaining how recruiting works as far as I know, and it's changed quite a bit. But being a coach, I'm still kind of involved in it. But it's I always tell kids, even kids I coach, like, because they ask me, they're like, do you play college football? I'm like, no, I liked football. I did not love football.
Yeah.
And as a college athlete, you have to love whatever you are doing.
Yes, you do.
You know, I love coaching, so I put a lot of time into it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm, I was like, yes, I probably looked like I could have played college football, but it was not for me, and I knew that. It's difficult.
And I think, sometimes kids, they do sports all the time, their whole, from 8 years old or even younger, and they are able to graduate from high school, and they're just kind of ready to go on to the next part of their life. I mean, Dawn was fortunate enough. If one of my kids had full scholarship somewhere, I would have really encouraged it. But, to have that is such a blessing, to have that full scholarship and be able to, get your education paid for, which my kids are still paying student loans, I mean, they appreciate their education a lot.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot. It's a lot to do. I went to BG right out of high school, and I just wasted my money. And I was not ready for college.
Yeah.
And ultimately I ended up graduating from Owens, and I was able to pay my debt off pretty quick. So I always try, like, hey, if you don't know, but you think you like college, but you don't know what you want to do, go to Owens.
Sure.
Just do all your general stuff, pay way less money, and then figure it out.
It's a great place to start.
Yeah,
It's a great place.
I love my time there, and my teacher, the Mr. Foley, Chris Foley, I did landscape and turf grass management, and he was great. I think he taught like every class because he had to. It was such a small program, and but I always try to push people there. I love Penta too. I always try to puch kids at Penta. I wish I would have went there, and I even talked to one of my friends. We went to high school together, and he's like, man, I wish I would have went to Penta, but the way it was at Perrysburg, and maybe still is a little bit. It's like one of those like, oh, the dumb kids go there, or the kids that can't do everything else go there. And as a 16-year-old, I'm like, well, I don't want to be one of those kids, so I didn't do it, So as an adult, I try to like push them, like, it's okay if you like this kind of stuff, go here,
And I think that narrative has changed
Definitely.
a lot.
Definitely.
That is a great facility and such a good reputation, for getting kids started in where they want to be. Lots of successful people come from Penta.
Yeah. I had Bob Falkenstein on here when he was running Penta at the time, or the principal. I forget his exact title, but he was on here, and we talked a lot about Penta.
Yeah.
And how good it was, and like you said, how many things kids can get out of it. My son went to the summer camps that they have there, and he loved it. He loved it. It was so much fun.
I think he's a superintendent. I used to babysit Bob Falkenstein.
Oh, did you really?
I'm going to have to listen to that podcast.
He's at Otsego now, I think.
Is he at North Baltimore?
Oh, North Baltimore.
Yeah,
You're right.
He's the superintendent at North Baltimore.
I don't think he's at North Baltimore anymore.
Oh, he's not?
He's
Maybe
at
Gibsonburg or something.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere.
I know.
We're throwing all this.
Yes,
Sorry,
I know.
Bob. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah. Well, his parents lived in Rossford here. So,
Oh, okay,
just in Grassy Creek. So, and then she worked at Perrysburg Schools because I worked with Betty back in the day. So,
Yeah. He was a great guest. He was the other freshman football coach I had when I was here.
Yeah.
And I worked with him at Perrysburg. It's like all full circle. I mean, it's full. In education, it is. It's all full circle.
Yep. That's what I'm learning. A lot of people, when I talk to them, even outside of this, when I'm just talking to people, like, oh yeah, I went here. Oh, did you know this person or that person? You know. Even working in Toledo at the Metro Parks, I have a friend of mine. I was asking him a question about like trying to get something done. And he goes, Lorenzo, Toledo's the size of a walnut. We can get things done.
Yeah.
I always say it's 1 degree of separation, pretty much. You know, they say 6 degrees, but it's like 1 degree, Yeah. And when you said Penta, my house was built by Penta. So
was it really?
I am a strong proponent of,
awesome.
yes, they do amazing work. And you are right, though. There was a stigma back in the day. But like Jackie said, I think as being a counselor and having worked with the students at Perrysburg for such a long time, that stigma has now changed a little. It's changed because they see the benefits of just the opportunities that are available through Penta.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned we didn't talk about your kids, Dawn.
Oh,
Yeah, you have 2 boys.
I have 3 boys.
3 boys. Okay.
Yeah. So my oldest, he's now 29. Brian, actually, he's in town this weekend, which is awesome because he came home just to help with the campaign that we're doing. So
nice.
yeah. He said, "Mom, I'm going to come home." So he graduated from Rossford, and then my middle son, and he's now working in corporate sales now down in Tampa. And then my middle son, Jonathan, he went through Rossford until he was in 8th grade, and then went on to Central Catholic and graduated from there.
Is that the one I coached, right? I can't remember.
Probably. I feel like yes.
I was there for a couple years.
Yes. You definitely
He
did.
was a lineman? Was he a
Yes,
lineman?
yes.
Yep. Okay,
and then that's when he tore his ACL too. So he was only there for a short period of time. I mean, as far as doing his sport, because then he had to take a little bit of a break in a sense. But yes, so he was there for his 4 years. So yes, you were one of his
junior
coaches.
high coach, I believe.
Yes. So Jonathan now is down in Tampa as an accountant. And so he's working for PwC. And then my baby, Brandon, he also, I didn't say Jonathan graduated from Ohio State, so I don't hold that against them. Okay, because then Brandon followed his brother and also graduated from Ohio State, but then he actually went along with his brother to Central, and then when their dad got sick, he decided to help his dad with his business, and before he passed away, he decided to switch schools and go to Cardinal Stretch so he could be closer to his dad's business and help his dad before his passing. So yeah.
Well,
very
sorry to hear about that.
Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, very, very, and he's down in Tampa as well.
Oh, wow.
So they all moved to Tampa. They love the weather.
That, but also that as a parent, I would be like, okay, well, we did something right with them that they still want to be together.
Oh,
right?
and they live together.
Okay,
So yes,
that's even more.
Yes, they're very close. Yes. Now my middle son, his girlfriend just graduated from Ohio State, so she moved down. Tori Glowacki moved down to Tampa as well, now they live together. So my oldest and my youngest are the only ones that live together now. Yeah,
that's great though. Like I said, I know. We were just at a wedding, and it was me, my younger sisters, and my parents. And I was telling them that too. Like, look, you guys did a pretty good job of raising us. Like, we all still love each other. We all still want to hang out with each other and all this stuff. And I'm 40. My sister's going to be 40 soon, and so it's like all these things. As now that I see as a parent, like, okay, this is what I want for my kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Jackie, you I want to go back to when you guys first ran the first time. You both mentioned you're running for re-election.
Correct.
What made you want to run in the first place? Because it is a lot of work. For you homegrown, you've been there. But what is it for you? Like, all right, I'm going to put all this time and effort, and I want to help the community.
So thanks for asking. So I had in 2011. We got some bad news. My 5th child, which was my son Kerry, was diagnosed with a terminal cancer, childhood cancer, at the age of 16. So from the time he was diagnosed until the time he passed, which was 11 months, the community support was unbelievable. At that time, Rossford City and Rossford Schools, there was a little contention between them. There was lots of rumbling, but from when Kerry was diagnosed, there was some kind of magic in Rossford. Everybody came together. It was unbelievable. So many, even surrounding schools, were part of it. When there would be, athletic contests, everyone was wearing blue T-shirts or, celebrating Kerry at the time, and he would come to any event he felt good enough to go to because he declined very quickly. It was a pretty intense protocol of chemo and radiation, and it just really caused his decline very quickly. So over that time, it was just... I was busy always with Kerry, but the community kept rallying and rallying and rallying. So after his passing, which was 11 months after that, so in April of 2012, I went to a school board meeting. And I wanted to thank the community, for their support. And I thought, what is going on at this meeting? It was just crazy. I mean, it was still the same schools that I graduated from. And I thought, I have to give back. I have to give something back to this community that gave so much. So my husband, Rex Huffman, and I talked a lot, and we thought, you know what? Let's run for school board. I'm going to do it, and he's so supportive. He's like my rock. He's my right hand. He's always there, cheering me on and giving me a lot of support. So I did run in 2013, and I was elected.
Now, the way you said it was like I did not expect to be elected.
Well, I didn't know. I had 6 children, and Carrie was my number 5. And so my oldest son, he was very involved in school, very involved in sports, well known. My second son, Kurt, my first son is Kevin, and he's 39. And then Kurt is 37. And then Katie, she was really involved in sports, well-known kids. Kyle, well-known. He's 34 this year. And then Carrie. And then I have one younger than Carrie, Kirsten. And now she's been out of school 10 years. Very involved in sports. So they knew the Keller kids. They knew all the Keller kids. So when Carrie was diagnosed, we were so well known. So when I ran, I had just married Rex Huffman like 6 months prior to Carrie's diagnosis. And so when I ran on my signs, on my social media posts as Jackie Keller Huffman, because a lot of people wouldn't know just Jackie Huffman.
Correct.
Who's Jackie Huffman?
Correct.
It was, and a lot of my kids' friends still say, "Hi, Mrs. Keller." So I ran that way. And I think just because of knowing my children and knowing the kind of mom I've been and the success of my kids, because they're all very successful, they knew that, I would be a person of integrity, a person who cared about the children, who cared about the facilities, who cared about all of the things that go into a school to make kids successful in life, and have a great start in life. That I would be a good candidate, and I would be honest and positive and forward-thinking and all that good stuff. So that's how I got to the school board. So I was elected in 2013. My first year was 2014.
Okay.
So that's how I got there.
Well, it sounds like everything you're talking about as far as your kids, because your kids obviously carry your name, and you're like, all right, well, if you're going to go out here and do this thing, you better be this level of person. If you're going to if you're going to compete as an athlete, the athletics part of it, as far as I'm concerned, for my kids, like I just want you to do your best, right?
Absolutely.
So, but you also have our family name, and you have to be this level of person because of not just you, but everyone before you and everyone after you. Like it feels like I'm like putting all this pressure on my 10-year-old daughter, but it's just important. And I always try to tell them, because they always pronounce our name wrong. Our name is Melcher, and I always say Melkor all the time. And now I think one time my daughter went up to somebody finally and said, "Hey, it's Melcher," which I was really excited about because that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
But with you mentioned your name and your last name, and it's important because you're right. If you did not raise these kids, to a standard, then you're like, okay, well now I'm trying to run, and these kids, are all over the place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's a little more difficult, but you did a great job, and so that's part of, even thinking about it for your science, like that is a big part of it too. So
It really was, and kind of like Dawn's, a little bit different, but all of my kids have returned to Northwest Ohio. And 2 of them were living in Columbus, and they both, I number my kids for some reason. My number 4.
There's 6 of them. You got it.
My number 4. He was in Columbus. He is moving back to Perrysburg.
Okay.
Today, actually.
Oh,
the moving
wow.
truck, has come, and so they're moving in this weekend, I should say. So, and then my oldest son, Kevin, he moved back a couple years ago. He started his family in Columbus, and he's like, "We're moving back. We're moving back. We want to be by family when we're raising our kids."
I mean, we lived in Toledo for a year, but we knew we'd come back to Perrysburg. My parents we're in their basement now, and then my in-laws live 3 houses down from us. So like everybody's here,
yes.
Which is nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Dawn, what about you? The first time you ran, I'm sure in your mind you're like, all right, I want to make the board better this way, or I want to do this thing, or what? Like for you, what was it?
So when we built our house in 2000, my oldest son was actually going to be going into kindergarten. So as a parent who has always been very proactive with my kids, I wanted to get involved. So they were working on a master plan, and I had been invited as a parent to just go to, like we we do with strategic plans and everything of that nature. I was invited to a meeting, and so I started going to the meetings as a parent. I was going to PTO meetings and being involved with my son as a, him being in the schools. So I just said, this is an opportunity. Actually, one of the board members had reached out and said, I think you would be great on our board. And I thought, okay, I didn't really know anything about school boards, even though I'm in, I'd been in education, working in public education for a long time. That's kind of, board members are really at that level where they're doing policy and procedure. So you don't really have that connection all the time with the board members. So, I didn't really know what to expect. So I kind of went into learning a little bit more. And one of the parents on my son's soccer team actually was the one who pulled the petition and said, I want you to get it. And I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do this. But then after thinking about it and knowing that I was invested with my son and all of my boys' education, I thought, this is a perfect opportunity to have a voice. I'm not from Rossford. However, I was connected with a lot of people within Rossford. They welcomed me with open arms and just being connected with the people that I knew from before I had moved into Rossford, and then getting connected with some of the families who are very generational in Rossford. I felt as though I could have a voice that may be a little different from those who had been like Jackie, who's lived in the community and maybe have a different perspective and look at it from a different way. So I ran, and the first time actually though I was appointed. So
really?
Yes, I was appointed because there was someone who had stepped off, and I was appointed to the school board, and then. At that time, I ran, and it's a whole long story, but I didn't get on. So I didn't get on. And so then I decided to wait 4 years before I would run again. At least try.
Did you know, like, when you didn't get on the board, did you know, like, I'm going to try again?
At the time, no, because I was going through a lot of things. I actually was going through a divorce, so that was my focus. My focus was on my kids and making sure that things were going to stay pretty, I guess, continue as stable as it could be. We had a really good co-parenting relationship with my ex-husband, so I felt like, okay, we kept the house. The boys stayed where they were, and so then what I decided then after a couple more years, people kept saying, you're so involved. You should, you have a great voice. You have good perspective. You're forward thinking, like Jackie has mentioned. So I decided to run, and was very blessed to then get on in 2010. I've been on for 16 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this would be my 5th term getting on the board. But I've been very blessed to be able to have a voice for many of the people that I communicate with and have been surrounded by, and as Jackie's mentioned, being positive, forward thinking is important. And we've been through I've probably been through the most diverse situations within Rossford, because I was on when we didn't have the new schools, and I was on when we were going through, like Jackie mentioned, she came to a board meeting. I was on that board that she talks about that was a little bit contentious, and things weren't very positive as they could have been. And so being that we've now moved into a direction of things where things are going really well in our district. I mean, we are wearing our T-shirts that say Destination District for a reason, because we've become that place that people want to move into, and the envy of our facilities and all of the things that we're doing. So so that's kind of why I wanted to get on and have continued to stay on, because I feel as though there are a lot of great things and want to continue those things that we have, the things that have happened that weren't so good. Now we're in a space that it's going well.
Do you, Don, I'll ask you first, what has been the hardest, being on the board, what has been the hardest thing for you to like deal with, or, to help put through, or to continue, like, whether it was the school, building the schools, or the big R facility, or something that, like, what has been the most difficult thing?
I would say that stuff, the buildings and everything, to me aren't the hardest. I would say sometimes I'm a relationship person. I've always been that way. And sometimes, you have people, neighbors, friends who come to you, and sometimes you can't give them everything that they want. And that, I would say, has been the most difficult, because if I could have a magic ball and give everybody everything that they wanted, I would. Yeah. However, being on a board, our role is not sometimes what people really understand it to be. And so for me, I want to do what's right as a board person. We have been, we are designated to do the policy, procedure, and oversee the superintendent and treasurer. And so when, people in our community come to us, our constituents, even people that may not have voted for me, come to me and say, well, this needs to be done, or, why isn't this happening? You want to be that person who can, I guess, bring some comfort to them. Yeah. However, you just can't do everything, because you are within the confines of what the board member should be doing as a board person. So I would say that's been my biggest challenge, because I am a positive person and I want to do things for people, and I am empathetic as a counselor. That's kind of, even though that's my profession, I think that's just who I am. And so I would say that's been the biggest challenge, because I think some people then get disgruntled and think that I don't care, and I do, and I think that's been my hardest thing.
What about you, Jackie? What have you found so difficult?
Yeah, I have to agree a lot with Dawn. There is a chain of who to go to when you have a problem, and people, if they know you, they like to come straight to you, because this is a board member and they can help. And the reality is we can't. We're one board member. As one board member, you can't really do anything. We speak as one, all five of us. There's 5 on our board. So that is difficult. I would say right after we built our new high school and renovated the older part and the elementary school, COVID happened. I mean, we were barely in those schools. Yeah. And so then it was, school at home, which was really difficult for parents. And I know they struggled, and I know a lot of parents had a much more appreciation for our teachers.
I bet.
Honestly. Yeah. I mean, it was a difficult time for everybody. I mean, the whole, country. But once we got back to school, it was a big problem with who wanted to wear masks and who didn't. And as a board, we had to decide what we were going to do about that. That was a difficult thing. But, even though I'm a registered nurse, I don't know more than the health department does. Yeah. They get all that information. So we thought as a board, we would just go along with whatever the recommendation for the masks were that we would do, the Wood County Health Department. Yeah. So we did follow that. That was difficult. It was hard to go to those meetings, and it was, kind of the same thing over and over as far as open discussion or public discussion input. Yeah. And it's like, we were elected, by a majority, or we wouldn't be here on the board. You elected us to make, educated decisions. we get the information and we do that. So that's difficult because then you feel like you start questioning, am I doing something wrong or whatever? So that can be difficult. But, my rock helped me. My husband rocks. He was great. He's like, Jackie, you're just taking the information, you're processing it, and you're voting the way you feel is best for the students, the teachers, the community. And I said, you're right. So those kind of things. And I guess when we do have, a disagreement with the board, the thing that I have difficulty with is when we don't all proceed as one after a vote.
Okay.
That can be very difficult. And then you hear things out in the community or there's stuff on Facebook or other social media, which is difficult. It's disheartening to see that we're not acting as one anymore. But once you get elected to the board, you do lose some rights. You do lose the ability to get out there and really form a lot of your own opinions on social media. There are, ethics to being a board member and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So those are difficult things for me to see or to understand that kind of.
Yeah. Being in a leadership role always comes with those decisions. We're like, all right, this is good for the majority of whoever, whether it's a staff we're running or the community or the schools, but the minority, there's always going to be a minority where they're like, well, we don't like that, but it's tough making those decisions.
It is.
We got to look at what's best for, everybody. And you're never going to please everybody. Has either of you lost I shouldn't say lost friends, but kind of lost touch with people because of things the board has done or the schools have done because they didn't disagree or because they disagreed, I should say.
I don't know if, I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm kind of consumed with my family. I mean, consumed.
They're still there.
I'm not a helicopter mom by any means, or grandma, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
To keep track of.
We got a number of them, I know.
So, and I'm probably the most removed from school just because I have a granddaughter or two granddaughters who are in the elementary school. So I still have family in my schools.
Yeah.
But I don't have the contacts that reach out to me all the time.
Got
and
it.
I live in the township.
Okay.
I'm your neighbor.
Yeah.
I just live right over here. So I don't have the contact. Like Dawn lives in a neighborhood.
Okay.
I live out in the country. I don't have close neighbors.
Yeah.
But so I don't hear as much.
I would imagine your best friends or really good people you can go to will say I know that was a difficult. I probably don't agree with it, but I know it was a difficult decision, and it was probably good for the community.
I don't think I've lost. I think people respect my decisions that I make when I vote.
Good.
There'd be no reason for them to think I am being underhanded or have an agenda of any kind, because that's not who I am, and that's not who they know that I am. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
something would be weird if you were all of a sudden driving around in an Amazon truck. You're like, wait a minute.
That's right. That would be very weird.
Where's that Amazon money coming from?
Oh my God.
So, no, but I don't know.
What about you, Dawn? I would imagine at some point it can be difficult.
It is difficult. I mean, I'm in a bunco group, so in my neighborhood, there's 12 women that we've been in for 14 years.
Wow.
So we've been through babies and divorces and all types of things. And we leave all of that stuff, especially the political, I never bring that into because it's bigger than the politics. I feel as though Jackie and I are on the same page. We as I think moms got into it for that reason. Now, as far as friends, my closest friends are still my closest friends. I don't know if people there's always going to be people who talk, and that might not say anything to your face, but are doing things behind your back. But every person that I have ever communicated with or that I've been connected with, we were just at the football game and people are, saying hi and friendly. I've never had anyone literally just say, I don't like you. And I don't know. Just, it's never happened. Now, I hope it doesn't happen now after I say this.
Okay. You're going to get a bunch of joke texts now.
Exactly.
So I apologize.
No, but, I think like Jackie said, people know my platform and where I stand and what I believe in, and I've been consistent. I mean, if you go on my Facebook, my personal one, I've always been consistent in my messaging, and I really don't get on Facebook to speak about specifics. I usually am doing something uplifting, usually positive affirmations that I usually post, and actually supporting different people. So I don't see it, but then again, I could be blind to people that are doing it that I don't know.
I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
then,
exactly. Yeah.
So
Right.
you mentioned positivity. So what is Jackie? We'll start with you. What do you think the greatest accomplishment that you guys have had since you've been on board?
Well, I mean, tangible is our buildings. And building 2 buildings without going to the taxpayers for more money. I mean, we have just been blessed economically in development, and our treasurer, Jamie Rossler, amazing work with our funds. I mean, he's been so responsible with our money, and we've just been blessed. So tangibly, our buildings, of course.
Donna,
everyone
looks like you
sees
agree,
them.
I do, and also with her saying, Mr. Rossler, Jamie, our treasurer. I mean, we are the first district in the state of Ohio to reduce our taxes 3 times.
Oh, wow.
In the state of Ohio, so we financially are in a very good place. I mean, again, there are things happening at the state that we have no control over. The budgeting has changed, and so I know there are some funding that we may lose. I don't think it's going to affect us the way it's going to affect some other districts that surround us. However, we have done some amazing things. I mean, Jackie's been on for 12 years. I've been on for 16. For us, we've seen it. We're the longest people on the board, and I think because of the consistency and the continuity of being, like, having different board members on, it can, for a treasurer and a superintendent, can be sometimes overwhelming, right? Yeah. Because you're trying to do your job, but then when you have new people come on, it's just like with any employee, then you have to, go through making sure that they are updated and understand why the decisions that have been made. So I think because of the consistency that we've had on our board for these last, I think 8 years, at least 8 years, it's been a good thing for our district, because it is consistent. And again, maybe people don't agree with everything we're doing, but we are consistently trying to do what's right for the students and the families of Rossford, the Rossford school system. So, yeah.
Right. And some of the things that maybe people don't see or don't know is when I first got on the school board, the first thing we did was we didn't pass a levy, an operating levy. And so then guess what? My next thing to do is to cut teachers, cut programming, cut 6th grade camp. I mean, we did all of that. And now guess what? We have more staff, we have more programming, we have more curriculum, we have 6th grade camp is back. We have been able to add all of the things we cut and so much more. Security. We have resource officers. We have
more school counselors.
More
intervention specialists, the behavioral specialists. We have a social worker, which we never had before. So that SEL, the social emotional learning components that are now very important to families, and making sure that, the mental health and just the well-being, just the, I would say making sure that we are addressing the whole child and hoping that we not only support them, but then support their families as well. So we created a FACE committee, which is a family and community engagement committees. And it's 2 board members and administration and staff members who are sitting at the table together, making decisions and coming up with creative ways to support our families and students.
Wow.
Really important, especially in this culture, is to have parents involved as in a partnership with their children. Raising kids. It's a full-time job, and how appreciative we are of the staff who teach them every day, who are with them every day. But we need that partnership with parents to really go full circle and meet their needs, because it's difficult out there right now. For single parents, or for parents who only have one income, or they can't be home when their kids get home from school, make sure the homework's done. Yeah. I mean, it's important for us to reach out. And Dawn brought that FACE committee to us a couple years ago, I think it was. Yeah. And what a great committee to have and get our staff involved in and really do some outreach in our community. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, and just being the neighboring community, all the things you guys are doing gets our board in trouble because we're like, well, how come Rossford can do this and how come Rossford can do that? And like, well, we're not Rossford, we're different.
Thank you for saying that.
Well, and you know what? We used to probably, and like what Jackie said when she first got on, that's what we were struggling with. Yeah. And so we had to do full circle things and actually go through some challenges of our own. Yep. So I feel like, we were in that storm at one time. Sure. Yep. And I'm sure, the board in Perrysburg will get out of the storm. It's just, it's just when you're in it, it's not pleasant.
It's not
pleasant, and and it feels like it's lasting forever.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Especially when you have people that in the community who come to a board meeting and maybe they don't have all the information and or them, and then they come and they don't understand everything because they don't, again, have all the information in fairness to them, but then they don't it sometimes becomes negative, and we don't want it to be negative because our goal is that we are forward thinking, we're pushing forward, we're doing the things that are necessary for families and for students and the staff because we need to support our staff too because if they're not happy, then many times then there's a culture that's created and that maybe isn't always a good thing for them to continue in their field because they're feeling overwhelmed and discouraged,
Yeah. What's so you're running for re-election now. What are the, if people ask, or if I'm going to ask the question right now, what are you not necessarily changing, but what's going forward? What are you looking forward to, Jackie?
So I'm excited. I've been on the facilities committee basically since I've been on the board, and we're building a new 4 through 6 building on our elementary site where the R is, our multi-purpose building, and our soccer field, tennis, softball, baseball's out there, without going to the taxpayers. So we're really excited about that. We're going to bring the 6th grade back down to, they'll be the older kids in the building then, and we kind of got them into the high school building. They feel that 6th grade back at the middle school level will be better for them. It'll be a great stepping stone for them to get back into high school. So I'm excited about that. We're always looking to see how we can support our staff. So we're always looking at security measures. We have the Evolve system up at the high school, which is kind of a metal detector type thing that students walk through every morning. I've heard really great things, which we were mandated by Governor DeWine to no cell phones in school. So we have the Yonder pouch, which has made a huge improvement. I've talked to some of our administrators at the high school level. They are so excited about morale in our high school and junior high this year, different from last year. And they contribute, no cell phones. Yeah. That's a big part. Kids are talking to each other. They're not got their noses buried in their phones, And I know a lot of concerns about kids being on their Chromebooks all the time. They're on their Chromebooks. Well, that's where we're moving forward. That's how teaching is done now. Yeah, you're on Chromebooks. That's where you're getting, some interactive things with kids. They relate to it really well.
I was just talking to one of my players because he broke his leg, and I was like, people help carry your books and stuff around? He's like, we don't have books. I was like, no books at all? He goes, no. He goes, we don't even use our lockers. I go, nobody uses their locker? He goes, nope, we just go to class.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of Chromebooks.
It's completely different, isn't it? I know. Yeah. I had a whole handful of books.
Old. Yeah, right? 21st century learning.
Even my kids, here's the book. Here's my book. It's the computer.
So I know it seems like, okay, well, when do you stop? What do you, it's always evolving. Something's always evolving. We do deal with some behaviors, but it's not any different than any other school system. Everyone has behaviors in their classroom. So We have a staff-led kind of intervention team. So when behaviors might start, we would have this intervention team. It's staff-led, so they're going to decide how they're going to run this. And it'll help diffuse things, maybe de-escalate or however they want that to look, and then kind of do a post-meeting, what could we have done different? What should we do? Get the intervention specialists involved, whatever is needed. Is that for the board to decide what is needed? We're at a different level, and we're dealing with different things than in class. I mean, we shouldn't be making those decisions.
Correct.
So we want them to do it. Yeah. And I'm really excited about that because they've been asking, we need help in the classroom. Yeah. How can we help you? And we thought, well, we're going to give it to you. To you decide what is the best thing that would help you.
That also creates leaders, too. It creates other people stepping into roles that they might not normally step into and taking ownership of things.
And we value those people in the classrooms. We value them. And I hope they know that we think so much of them for taking care of these students, and we know that their decisions are best for their classroom.
Don, what about you? What do you? I know it's probably a lot of the same sentiment that Jackie was saying.
I would say also because we just finished doing our strategic plan, so it's a 5-year plan, and what we did this time is we took it out to our community and our staff to give us some feedback as to what they want to see moving forward. And so trying to make sure that, as a board person, continuing on is important because I was a part of that team that helped with those decisions on what that would look like and understanding that. So with that strategic plan, making sure that, the students have a good experience and providing that culture that's going to help them to thrive and grow. So we have the STEM. We have a lot of that with the R. So we have our students now being able to go over to the R to get educated and some STEM experiences, which is awesome. We had a STEM camp that I think
in a partnership
with First Solar. So those are some really cool things. Also making sure that, like what Jackie talked about with our staff and creating that culture that is going to be positive and the staff feel supported. With that, I feel like our strategic plan, with the resources, with the FACE committee that I mentioned, it's being really led by the staff because what we've been hearing as board members is we haven't been listening as much as we could, and they want to be empowered, like you said, and so we want them to be the lead and the leaders. We don't want to lead the work that they're doing. We want to support the work they're doing. So with that being said, our strategic plan is now in a way that it looks a little different than maybe it has in the past, so that we can empower those students as well as staff and families, because it's important that our families understand this is a partnership. Like, we're not leading everything. We need the support from the parents and community, even if they don't have students in the schools. We need the support of our community to make our district grow and continue in the direction it's going.
That's great. It's I know it's probably I don't know if it's difficult. It seems difficult to me. You both of you've been on the board for so long, and at least a decade, and to think like, all right, we started down here and now we're here, and why are people going to vote for us again? But obviously your record speaks on a lot of that. Like, all right, here's where we're at. We were a part of a small part of where we are now, but it's good to like you said, always evolving, always thinking forward. Like, all right, what do we got to do? What can we make better for this community? Because we can't just stand pat. Because if you stand pat, eventually you're going to fall behind.
Right.
So it's good to hear like all these things coming forward. Before we end this podcast, I want to, for both of you, what is something we didn't hit on, or I want to make sure you get what you want to talk about out there. I have my base questions, but it doesn't always ask everything.
Yeah, sure.
So what is something that you guys want to?
Well, you know what? I am really passionate about what I do on the school board. Is it easy? It's not always easy. Mm-hmm. But what I do see is, like I said, things evolving. Like talking to the administrator the other night at the football game, he was so positive about what school looked like last year at the end of school and what it looks like already early on in this school year. those are the things that I get really excited about and like to be part of, and like to be part of a decision-making board that can help him continue to move forward and empower the students to be the best they can be. Graduation looks different than it did when my kids graduated, than when I graduated. I mean, it is a different, journey for these kids. They have to get different seals and accomplish different things to graduate from high school. And we've asked for our guidance counselor to come in and give us a little presentation on what that's all about, because I'm not quite sure, which would be really a nice and interesting thing. But so those are the things that I'm so passionate about is to hear. I want to hear your solutions. I don't want to hear the administrators. It's not that I don't want to hear their problems, but what can we do to resolve that?
Yeah.
What does that look like for you guys, you teachers, the aides? Just tell us, if we don't hear it, we can't help. So I'm just excited to do 4 more years. I really am. I'm ready to go. I just want to continue on moving forward and help the FACE committee evolve, to help our students be more successful, and hear what our administrators have to say about what they need in their buildings.
Good. Don, what about you?
Yeah. So initially, I'll be very transparent. I was one who thought, I feel like my 16 years, I've done my service to the community and to the schools. However, I had several people reach out to me saying, we want you to stay on the board. We value what you bring to our district. And so I thought about it. I actually spoke with my kids to see and talk to them, is this something that I should continue? And they said, Mom, you have invested your time. And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? There's so many great things that we're doing, and I want to make sure that those continue. And we have been able to improve on so many things, and I want to be a part of that. I know that, like what Jackie said, the FACE committee, being that I initiated that, and then the board was in agreement that this was something we needed. We're doing a press pause with PAWS, press pause, where our community is pressing pause each day or whenever they can for social media. So where they do away with their devices, they spend time as a family. And knowing that these are some things that I've initiated, I want to make sure that they're, continued, and the things that we want to continue with our buildings. We're building a new building, like Jackie mentioned, and seeing that through. So I thought about it, and I said, you know what, if I'm going to invest in it, it's just like being an athlete. If I'm going to put forth my effort, I'm all in. And so for me, that's why I think we're doing these things now, because I feel it's important that people hear our message, that we're not just doing this just because for being a politician, because we've heard that, this is bigger than that. And it's bigger than me. It's bigger than Jackie, so it's bigger than us. It's about continuing the legacy that the former teachers, former community members, current people have invested and supported us to be on the board, and to continue what we've been doing in a positive way that's going to help our district continue to grow. So those are the things I think for me that have made me say, you know what, I'm in this, I'm invested, and I want to continue and even think of new things. I mean, like you said, it's not just the stuff we're currently doing, but there is always new initiatives that we can do and hear from our staff and our community that will help us to even be better. So, yeah.
And I think I want people to know that we are genuine people. We have a lot of integrity, and we are here for the community, the students, and the staff. And that's what we bring. Yeah. Our compassion, our passion for helping this district move forward. So, have you not heard? It's a great day to be a Bulldog. It is a great day to be a Bulldog. We have shirts that say that.
Yeah. We do.
Oh, I'm sure.
We wore them on Friday. But
yes.
Bringing that last bit up, and that's why I do the podcast the way I do. I've had people running for city council come on here, and I'm not in here to be like, all right, on this policy, well, how come this? That's not why I'm here. I'm here because I like having conversations. Yeah. I want to talk to people. I think personally, that's what I get the most out of here when people talk. Is like, okay, yes, I think policy and all that stuff really comes out, especially school boards maybe a little bit different, but other type of politicians, that stuff comes out. Sure. People can find that. But I want to know, why'd you play this sport, or why'd you grow up here, or why'd you do this? Like, I love that kind of stuff. And, selfishly, it's my podcast. So I'm going to ask the questions I want to ask, right?
And I will say we appreciate you allowing us the opportunity to speak to you and to get our message out, because it is, I think, having that conversation, when you put it in writing, people see it on Facebook, or if they see our literature out there, they don't know not everybody knows us, but to be able to have a conversation and get to know us in this way. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you for reaching out, because again, it makes me feel like there's sometimes I'm like, oh, why am I doing this podcast? It just costs my family money when I do this podcast. But when people are like, hey, I like this episode, or hey, can we come on and talk about, we're running for re-election, like, it's like, okay, yeah, but definitely, And I just realized this blanket is Rossford colored. They can't see it on the camera.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, so
we love it.
Yeah, so thanks again for coming on here. This was a great conversation, and good luck to both of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. If you want to reach out or be on the show, just search the Nerdball Podcast on any social media. If you want to email us, that is thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always YouTube, so you can go on there, subscribe to the Nerdball Podcast, and watch the podcast every week. As always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuddlefish Graphics, Big Daddy Graphics, and Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab for always supporting the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.